Hello, and welcome to the first ever 60-second interviews with My World News. Today, we're joined with our first interview, Matthew Chaim, Songcamp founder, instigator, songwriter, anti-vaxxer, and 1/3 of Rainbow Punch from the first Songcamp. Matthew, thanks for being here. How are you doing today?
I'm double vaxxed. I just want to start right there.
Double vaxxed. We must have
I just want to clear, because I think there's a few things to clear up. I just wanted to open with that. Off the gate.
So Chaim supports vaccine passports, check. So Chaim, we brought you on to clear up some of the reporting that has been going on with My World News and Camp 2. As you know, the crowdfund for Camp 2 went incredibly well. Roughly at, 120K at this point, and 0 slappers on the table. Now, as you know, we were quite skeptical if the slappers were going to show up. And you hit me in the DM a few weeks ago and said, quote, "Bro, I hate to break it to you, but the slappers are coming." Matthew, are the slappers coming?
So to your question, are the slappers coming? The slappers are most definitely coming. We had 3 slappers in the first camp. You were lucky to be a part of one of them. We got 3 slappers coming this time, and they're coming a week from Monday. So I don't know when this friggin' show is airing. What is it? August 16th, I want to say. The slappers are coming. They're most definitely coming, and I would say watch out or listen out.
I mean, I guess we'll just have to wait and see, but I am excited, and to be totally transparent, I have had some insider info, and they are some slappers. I'm not going to lie about it. It's some good stuff. Before we get into the speed round of questions, just one semi-serious question here. As you know, Camp 1, with 0 budget and half the time and 1/3 of the people, came out with some serious heat. And of course, there was some success there. But what was the purpose of raising the funds?
Rug pull. What was the purpose of raising the funds? Very good question. Just to clarify what I mean by that. No, this is a community rug pull in that at the end of this camp, we're going to have a exit to community. So unlike the first camp, which was amazing, something we learned is that these camps don't necessarily need to stop. They can keep going. What we're creating here is, yes, 3 slappers, but around it, we've basically built a production house. We have visual artists, and musicians creating story-based NFTs, creating this entire world and interactive actually element called Electra. And we want to keep that world going and actually package that into more of a story and more music going forward. So for instance, right after this camp, we'll move into the Electra DAO phase, and that DAO will most likely start by releasing an album of this fiction audio and this music. And so all of that, all of the funds, 100% of those funds is going towards getting this project off the ground and then continuing to evolve it as we go.
I was going to go to a sponsor. Hold up. Told you to turn the phone off. Anyways, we're going to go to a speed round of questions. Are you ready? Well, we'll start with a simple one. What has been the biggest obstacle in Songcamp 2 so far?
Biggest obstacle, I would say collective coordination among about 40 people is difficult. Things arise, whether it be, I guess mainly like communication. Like I think we jumped into this camp, with an idea and like a bunch of incredible talented people coming together around that idea, and that's been incredibly successful thus far. Thus far, people are creating amazing stuff together. But I'd say like disseminating information as needed through the groups and bringing like communication as we move this fast throughout the network has definitely been an obstacle. I would say we're learning a ton in terms of how to like sort of front run that and be able.
So Matthew is cleansing the air after we had quite a negative technical difficulty. My computer died mid-interview. But what a perfect way to hit the middle point of the 60-second interviews, which, if you haven't figured it out by now, are going to be longer than 60 seconds. It's kind of like the dollar store. You walk in there and there's things over $1. So let's just jump right back into it. So we're in the speed round of questions, and we just asked you, what was the biggest obstacle in Songcamp? And in the middle of that very lengthy response, my computer died. So as much as I would like to say we were trying to cut the answer short, it was just the computer. But let's just go ahead and move on to the next question. And we'll try and keep in a little bit of what that answer was. All right, a little bit more of a serious question. What are the plans for the 40-some ETH that was raised?
So for a fully answer, yeah, we've been budgeting it out. And so a good portion of that money is going to be going to the network of participants in this camp. So as we already covered, there's around 38 to 42 like active participants in this camp working on. We're kind of broken down into 4 different groups. We've got the visual squad, the song squad, similar to the first camp. And then we also have the swarm, which is involved in all of the audio related to the story-based pieces, voiceover work, sound design, also the script writing that's going into the story and building out the world. And then we also have the strategy squad and project operatives, marketing, all that. So a lot of these people, a lot of these participants, not everyone's exposed to the NFT splits as we have, in the first camp, and we also have for this camp, but not everyone's exposed to all these NFT splits. So this budget allows us to pay the network fairly and like at hopefully market or, a bit below market value for their work. And then also save that money for standing up the Electra DAO. So basically participants of the crowdfund got portal tickets. They also got Electra tokens, and Electra tokens are also being airdropped to the camp participants. And together the camp participants and the game players are basically gonna be standing up this Electra DAO and collectively deciding what to do with the rest of that budget moving forward as we bring this art out in an album and further the world and story in time. So budget for now and budget for standing that DAO up.
Okay. Songcamp have any plans for a third camp?
Excellent question. So right now, everything, and when I say everything, I mean everything in terms of just like attention, time, resources, everything has been poured into Songcamp Electra, aka like the second camp. So a third camp has not been fully fleshed out yet, but we are starting to turn our attention towards, the fall season. And what that really looks like is in parallel, standing up the Electra DAO, continuing the Electra project moving forward and into this like album mode, we presume. And then in stride with that, starting the fall season of Songcamp. And what that's starting to look like, while it's still not fleshed out, as I say, it's starting to, the vision for it is going kind of almost opposite Songcamp Electra and going, rather than doing like this one kind of project focused on 3 songs and very just like highly curative, highly just like production value, all that stuff, we want to just go wide and create a lot of music with a lot of people. And so really the focus for the fall is going to be 2 things at a high level, and we'll flesh out what that means, but really it's about building out the community. It's about the community and it's about songs. We're just going to go full on making music and also creating more like sort of content flows and educational flows for the community. We have a lot of people pouring into this community who are new, especially even just in Electra right now. Like we have all these artists who are new to the world of crypto and they're kind of playing at the edges of it right now. We just like launched, we did a party bid and we're doing, we might be doing like coordinate. We're just like playing at the edges here. So we want to create like more educational flows, have more speakers come, for weekly community hangs within the Songcamp Discord. So yeah, really building out that community side, having a place where new musicians and artists alike can come together and meet each other in this crazy new world, and then make a fuck ton of music together. That's really the where the ship is pointing.
That sounds exciting.
Well, we're gonna need slappers, so gonna need you there.
Perhaps I could help if this interview doesn't ruin it. Camp 1 versus Camp 2. Who you got?
Well, I would say like 9 of 9 of the people, of the artists in Camp 2, they're coming with the slappers. They're my favorites. And then I would say 8 of the 9 in Camp 1 really brought it. Really, really brought it. On Rainbow Punch, I felt like there was 2 really strong candidates, but one of them was just, me and you were both on that team.
Yeah.
Yeah, I was pointing to you. But in all seriousness, I'm blown away by the talent that's flown in Camp 1 and Camp 2. Literally just, I'm very inspired by everyone who was in both those camps, including myself. I was very inspired by myself.
Oh, you should be, as you should. Do you think the crowdfund for Camp 2 would have been as successful if it wasn't for Camp 1?
Excellent question. No, 100% not. Camp One is a complete, incomplete sort of cahoots for making Camp Two possible, I would say. And recently we were having conversations, about the token, right? This Camp Electra token, and how does it, I guess, like disseminate around amongst the network such that it like properly acknowledges the contributions made to this camp. And that gets very intangible, both within Electra, where there's people making intangible sort of contributions all the time. It's a very human way of creating. And then also the intangibles outside of the Camp Electra, where it's like, someone was asking within camp recently, like, how did the Electra crowdfund go the way that it did? And everything that you could say about this is pretty much pre-Camp Electra. And so really it's like Songcamp is a big reason for that. And when you look at, okay, who is Songcamp? Songcamp is Songcamp Genesis, because that's all that existed before Songcamp Electra. And so how that actually flows, that value actually flows, is the other thing that we're looking towards in the fall, and this is some alpha maybe for your show, is a camp token, a Songcamp token. And one of the things that we're testing within this Camp Electra and the second camp is we have a token to the camp, and then we'd have this general Songcamp token. Now, Songcamp kind of acts as like this incubator for a project like Electra. And so Songcamp's treasury will actually own a percentage of the Electra tokens. And over time, you could see more Electras popping up and Songcamp becoming like this basket, this incubator for all these things. And the camp token becoming this like reflection of a basket of the camp tokens. So as a Camp One member yourself, you would be receiving, this camp token for your contribution to Songcamp, and that would be basically a direct value link to the Electra token sitting in the Songcamp treasury. So that's the experiment that's being run on like the tokenomics side.
Interesting. So there's going to be like a token and then tokens underneath, almost like there's like an overarching business on top of another business. Is that a proper way to think about it? And maybe it's not like saying one's in control of the other, but one is almost the parent company to the other. Is that similar how you're thinking about the tokenomics? Is that?
Yeah, I mean, I guess like the analogs that I use would be more like, I kind of actually use like the Ethereum ecosystem as an analog, where Ethereum is like layer one. So within like the Songcamp system, it's almost like Songcamp is layer one, and then these other layers are built on top of it, where Songcamp Genesis is on that layer two, and so is Electra, and the layer one is like has its own native token. And these, Genesis Camp doesn't have its own token, but we could see, like, you could make an argument for it should have its own token. It's a little bit easier to track value flow in a system of 11 people. And then as soon as you move to 42 and then hundreds, it gets more difficult. But I would say that's one analog. I think another analog, and perhaps a better one, is like Songcamp is like an ecosystem. And then like Electra is like a planet. So I almost think of like Songcamp as like the Earth almost. It's like the engine that incubates and produces these things. And then many planets can populate into that world. And I almost see like Songcamp Genesis as this like moon right off Earth, because it's like, it's so close to and so flush to the original, to that base layer. So those are like the two analogs that I at least use to kind of like envision the relationship between these two things. I think right now, even with Camp Electra, like it's still very flush, because basically, like I said, all of Songcamp needs to focus on Electra to make it happen. But we could see a future where Songcamp, the layer of community, of resources, of education, of potential tech in the future, can support other camps from popping up, other camps that different people can pop up permissionlessly without a need to be me or core people that started Songcamp, like even being a part of it or running it. They can just kind of sprout their own camp, their own token, and what have you, and use the ecosystem's resources to benefit what they're doing as well. So yeah, I'm going.
So honestly, that's a fire. I mean, that's a brilliant way to think about it. I like the idea of making Songcamp essentially going to be allowing, for example, if I wanted to come in and say I wanted to create something completely my own, but on the Songcamp team, so to speak, and then Songcamp would take a percentage of that, or however the mathematics of that would work out. I like that idea a lot. I think that's actually that's a great way to expand. It's so funny if you watch the documentary of Camp One. Before we made $1, you know, you hear us having this conversation and I'm sitting there, I'm like, this is going to be huge. Like, there's no doubt about it. I mean, you could just see it, but that's because of the leadership, in my opinion. I mean, it's like, it's just incredible. I mean, it's literally like, I am blown away at how the decision-making goes, because it's almost like consequenceless in the sense of like, you make a decision and you have absolutely zero care about what happens, in the best way though, because it's like you do something and then when it happens, you pretty much just learn from the destruction that it causes or the creation.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? But like,
Totally.
because this is such a new world, the Web3 world being so new, it allows for that to be the case. And also kind of gives, you know, a bit of cushion for trying new things and going like very vast with like the ideas and doing it on the fly almost. And so, yeah, expected. I think it's incredible. But
and I think that like what exactly what you're saying too, I think is points to what I was saying is like symptomatic of the fact that it's like, if we do think of like Songcamp right now as like the parent company and Electra as this like destination camp, let's say, it's like we basically, because of the size of the organization thus far, we basically had to like turn the lights off at Songcamp to go run Electra. We could see a future where like, imagine the lights were able to stay on, where it's like, okay, maybe as Camp Genesis member, you're not necessarily a part of Camp Electra to the same extent that like the new Camp Electra members are, but if the lights were on at Songcamp, there'd be things to do. And I think that's the goal in the fall. Can we turn the lights on at Songcamp and not turn them off the next time we go do some destination camp? And I think that will allow for more sustained participation. I think the other, like going back to like one of the questions you asked, and I know we're going full serious now, but it's just like the obstacles around this camp. Like another one has been just like the amount of people really, and just all the consequences of that. So for instance, like paving the paths to participation for everyone is just like difficult, unrealistic, even with people who are in the camp. And also disseminating information, not just within the camp, but to the public and to people. So everything we're talking about now, like there's not so many articles that are like cohesively explaining the vision, because I haven't literally, because full honest, like I just haven't had the fucking time to do them. You know, I'm just like dealing with everyday things within the electric ecosystem. And that's why I'm so excited for the next 2 weeks. Like the slappers are coming, but also to be able to take a break and put out this information that I think is exciting for a lot of people.
Yeah, no, it's I mean, dude, like I know that in some regard, like people in the Web3 world and people building in the Web3 world want to act like it's not like a business, but like it really is. I mean, that's 100% what it is. It's a business just utilizing Web3 technology. I mean, that's the simple way to put it. And in a lot of way, you're employing, I mean, a lot of these people who realize like, I mean, dude, none of us from Camp One expected to make that kind of money realistically. Like, I don't think I certainly did not. In a lot of ways, that's how a lot of, I mean, dude, that's why the interest I think was so high for the second one. Is like people realize like, oh, you can make real money here. And not only that, but a lot of these people, it's going to probably become more of their identity than you probably would imagine. And what I mean by that is like, some of these people probably are struggling just like every other independent creator. And they're like, wow, I can make real money here doing what I love to do. And they're not going to want to stop. And so in a lot of ways, that's why I said, I think it's a great idea to take Songcamp and say, if Electra wants to continue and those people who are involved want to continue and create more stories or take it somewhere else. And I don't know how vast that would go. I feel like that could get very tricky, but I think that that's the thing that's most crazy about this, is that this is creating a business that could employ people for the rest of their life. Like some people could see, I could do this for the rest of my life if there's real money to be made. Now, I think there's a lot of things that could stop that. Not in Songcamp's case. I'm saying more in like the crypto world as a whole, like regulation.
Macro.
Yeah, like things that we just don't see coming.
And what you're pointing to is exactly true. It's like, it's a business. Like even just off this camp, of course, with that amount of ETH coming in and now having a token also, it's like, it isn't just like the Web3 stuff. The Web3 stuff happens, but then it's like, it's accounting, it's budgeting. It's like these very legacy, business things that need to be solved for, like, Songcamp moving forward needs an accountant, like or some sort of Web3 knowledgeable accountant needs a lawyer.
Let's go ahead and continue some of these questions. Can the people expect more music from Rainbow Punch?
I hope so.
I hope so too.
I think a return of Rainbow Punch the people would love it.
I think they would too. I think it could. I mean, dude, the people are still waiting for Antidote.
Antidote is unreleased. Let's be honest. It's unreleased.
100%. That's what I mean. And so I'm like, the people want it, and they're wondering when they're gonna get it. Do you have any idea when they might see Antidote? And I understand that's tricky because it's like, if you all of a sudden release Antidote, that's like Camp 1 stuff, and Camp 2 is going on. And it's like, you don't want to take any shine away from Camp 2. So it's like, when do you think the people can expect Antidote?
I think fall 2021, Antidote's coming.
Okay. Moderna, Pfizer, or Johnson & Johnson?
I'm a Pfizer guy.
But it's a classy choice.
Classic, yeah.
That's a
just like, vanilla ice cream, just like classic.
Yeah. I mean, dude, I
feel like Pfizer's the vanilla ice cream of vaxxers.
Yeah, I mean, hey, we had this was pretty solid. I'm trying to think if there's anything else I could seriously ask here that would actually bring up some good points. I really respect the fact you coming on this show, having absolutely zero idea what to expect, and just being a good sport, really. I mean, I
enjoyed it.
I look forward to doing more of these, and I look forward to doing more things with Songcamp and with you in particular. So, yeah, I mean, is there anything else on there?
Well, I'm just thinking about the fall season a little bit too, related to Antidote. I think we're also about ready for the screening of the movie screening, the 1.5 hour long version of the Camp 1 documentary. From your perspective, people need to see it. So we have content that people need to see.
Absolutely. It's crazy to see that after Camp 2, because I think
it's gonna be crazy. Yeah.
It's gonna be great because, man, I'm telling you, we had conversations, you and I, and then there's also moments where I'm by myself. Like, I'm literally by myself while I'm working on my part, and I have the camera on, and I'm just like sitting there talking to the camera. I'm like, this is crazy shit. I'm like, just because it was just new at the time, and that was before anything happened. Like, but that just shows how passionate Camp 1 was just for the song, that we were just all about just making music in a Web3 way, which was beautiful to see. And it's amazing to see the evolution, and I'm really excited to see what happens after that. And listen, I know I've said this to you many, many times, and I know this was actually the first thing I ever thought about when I thought about doing a DAO. I wanted to go to 0 to 1 million, and but I love, which is my biggest flaw. But yeah, no, I mean, I'm just really excited to see where things go from here, and if there ever is that opportunity to see a Camp 1 versus Camp 2, or I mean, just a competition-esque vibe. I think that'd be huge. I think people would eat that shit up. I mean, that's my perspective. I think people love the drama, and if we could instigate the drama, you really like go in there and you start poking, you start almost creating a narrative. Not to say that that's like, listen, the media does it every day. Why can't we do it? You know what I mean? If they're out here creating, they're out here creating all kinds of narratives. Why can't we do the same thing to
love it,
build up a little bit of energy for a Camp 1 versus Camp 2, or whatever, just a group versus a group, which is exciting.
Let's talk about it. Fall season, baby. I can see it.
I mean, dude, even that mini camp was 30-minute songs. Like, that was a thing. You could do that in a day. You could be like, every week there's one day where people start off and it's completely documented in some fashion, and there's a media crew, and it's a one day, make a song in one day, and it happens every week forever for the rest of time. I think that'd be huge. Especially if those songs get released a month later. Imagine if one of those songs ends up blowing up. Now people are like, where'd that song come from? And they're like, oh, that came from this. Next thing you know, that includes that increases the IP of that whole thing. I mean, if there's one thing I'm most bullish on, it's this concept. As long as the concept doesn't ever become not open-minded. Because I think Camp 2, once again, working off of Camp 1, the excitement was there just from seeing the success of what Camp 1 did. And so Camp 2 was like, let me get involved with this. Let me be a part of it. So, but yeah, I think Camp 3, if it pivots even more, and you already said that, I think I'm really excited to see that. And then forever on, you know, reoccurring things are going to be huge.
I think like exactly what you said, like open-mindedness, the curiosity, and I think really that like experimental, just like, yeah, like moving from that experimental intention is the way we move forward, and it's just like it's the funnest way too.
Yeah, 100%. I mean, and if you've proven that that's not a problem at all. Like I said, you have a fearless way of doing things. It's like knowing you're divinely protected while going forward. You know that no matter what the consequence is, it'll work itself out. And I think that's an incredible amount of faith and trust in not only yourself, but the group of people that are doing it. And I think that speaks volumes. And that's a superpower. It really is. But it comes with a great deal of responsibility as well, which is tricky. Mm-hmm. I know that's something that is difficult for myself. So I admire it, and I definitely respect the fuck out of it. So I think it's cool to see what's happened, and I'm excited to see what goes from here. I'm hyped up, and I appreciate you coming on and fucking answering these questions, and we had some fun. Yeah. And I mean, the editing of this will be interesting to see how it turns in. It's obviously for sure way longer than 60 seconds.
Yeah. 60-second interview. Took over 60 minutes.
But nonetheless, it was a great first episode here on My World News 60-second interviews. We're going to keep the title. It's a running title now. Even if
100%.
Even if it goes for 30, 40 minutes, I'm with it.
Well, this is great. I'm glad. I'm happy to be I'm honored, really, to be your first guest on My World News. I'm a huge fan of the show. It's very entertaining, and I think it's something the space needs. It's quenching a thirst of this Web3 music, NFT, blockchain corner. And I'm honored to be on this segment of 60-second interviews.
Well, I'm also honored, and I appreciate you. And it's certainly quenching the thirst of the 13 people that watch it.
That's 100%.
Yeah, those 13 people are getting their money's worth. But yeah, so I guess that's it. I have no idea how to wrap these up, but let's go ahead and shoot to a sponsor and take us out from here.
Peace.
Yeah, if I refuse to wear a mask, am I going to jail? If I refuse to take your cash, would I be easy to sell? Manipulate the people in disguise, it is hell. They ask me for an answer and I can't even tell. Yeah, Niche was busy making obstacles.